2 Israelis were killed after Iran launched a massive ballistic missile attack on the country early on March 18th. The Magen David Adom ambulance service announced the death of 2 people, identified as a couple, who were seriously injured in the Iranian attack in the Tel Aviv suburb of Ramat Gan. According to MDA, the couple, in their 70s, were killed after being hit by shrapnel from Iranian missile interceptions. The victims were found in an apartment on the 4th floor of a building in the city and likely did not have time to reach a protected space. MDA teams provided them with first aid and performed resuscitation efforts, but without success. Initial unconfirmed reports indicate they were headed to the bomb shelter. As per Israeli media, an initial investigation indicates that one of them had a disability that made it difficult for them to reach a protected space. MDA paramedic Inbar Green and MDA medic Neftali Halberstadt, who arrived at the scene in Ramat Gan, reported, "We saw smoke rising from a building with extensive damage, shattered glass. Among the debris, we found 2 unconscious victims without a pulse and not breathing, with severe injuries to their bodies. We conducted medical assessments, but they showed no signs of life."
Hey, what's up, everybody? I just came back. I was about to sleep, man. I actually slept for like an hour and a half. I was like, fuck it. Let me get back out here. I ain't doing shit. So let me just do a few things. I'm going to play a few videos of the world that's going on. This shit's crazy, man. This shit is so fucking crazy. When I tell you, like, a lot of shit that you hear in the, in the media, that shit's fake, man. A lot of the shit that you hear in the media is fucking fake. When I tell you, we should not have been in this fucking war. There's no reason the U.S. should be in this fucking war. Because those, to be honest with you, I mean, I hate to say this, but allegedly a lot of this thing is straight up like just trying to get you away from the Epstein files. 2, it's just Israel just went out there. They want to go ahead and dominate that region. That's all it is. And these motherfuckers, the Iranians, they've been ready for the shit. Straight up, they've been ready. And they have a lot of fucking, well, you can't really show news shit in there, but because they have a big gag on everybody that actually shows videos, whatever, but get a few things get by. So let's go ahead and continue.
We had no choice but to pronounce them dead at the scene. Israeli police reported that 5 people were lightly wounded during the attack in the Sharon area. MDA also added that paramedics took a 25-year-old in Bnei Brak who received a light shrapnel wound to his hand to Tel Aviv's Ichilov Hospital. According to Israeli media, 8 suspected shrapnel impact sites were reported following the missile barrage. Ramat Gan alone reported 5 major impact sites. MDA said shrapnel from missile interceptions also hit a vehicle operating in central Israel. Israel Railways reported shrapnel falling near the Tel Aviv Savidor Center train station, causing some damage to the station's platforms. Trains to and from the station have been suspended, with shuttle services operating between Herzliya, Tel Aviv Savidor Center, and Ben Gurion Airport. Unconfirmed reports suggest that
some people are saying that Ben Gurion Airport has been hit multiple times and a lot of planes has been destroyed. But I kind of believe it. But the news, they're not going to tell us anything that's going on. But like I said, it's just you never know, man. These people, I mean, the missiles that they have, they're hypersonic missiles were pretty much, Israel has some of the best fucking defense, like basically anti-missile defense is in their country. But that shit gets overridden by the Iranians, man. Them motherfuckers, they got some crazy shit going on. They're like, fuck it, we can keep doing this shit. some of them, missiles that they're using right now is fucking crazy. Hypersonic, where, the defense system is just not able to use it. I mean, I wish they'd just be like, listen, man, let's just go ahead and both of us cut our losses and let's go on, move on. But egos, man.
Iran fired Khorramshahr ballistic missiles with 80 bomblets targeting Israel. Khorramshahr is a long-range missile with an estimated range of about 2,000 kilometers and a warhead capable of carrying more than 1 ton of high explosives.
Yep.
Iranian officials say the missile can reach speeds of Mach 16 outside the atmosphere and Mach 8 within it.
That's crazy.
As the war is in its third week, Iran is now launching missiles with sub-munitions warheads. The munitions represent a significant new challenge for Israel's air defenses, which is struggling to stop the bomblets due to their small size and the relatively little time to intercept. According to the Wall Street Journal, Iran has launched more than 300 missiles and 500 drones at Israel since the conflict began on February 28th, inflicting significant damage and forcing extensive use of air defenses.
A major escalation in the ongoing war as Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has launched its 58th wave of retaliatory strikes targeting Israeli positions and United States military bases across the region. The operation, carried out under what Iran calls Operation True Promise 4, began early in the morning and involved a massive barrage of missiles and drones aimed at strategic enemy targets. In a statement, the IRGC described the attack as an effect-based operation, saying it was dedicated to what it called the martyred children of the ongoing conflict. Iran said the strikes specifically honored victims of a reported massacre at a school in Minab, as well as a 3-day-old infant killed along with family members in Iraq during recent attacks. To carry out the operation, Iran deployed a wide range of advanced weaponry, including the Khorramshahr ballistic missile equipped with a 2-ton warhead, along with multi-warhead Ghadar missiles and advanced Fateh and Hyber Shikan systems. Medium-range missiles such as Fateh and Qayyam were also used, alongside a large number of suicide drones, forming what officials described as a coordinated and high-precision strike package. Meanwhile, explosions have been reported across northern Israel after incoming missiles were detected, with air defense systems activated and sirens sounding across multiple towns, including Nahariya and parts of the Western Galilee. Central Israel was also hit, with reports of suspected cluster munitions impacts at several locations. The escalation follows Israeli airstrikes in Tehran, where officials say senior Iranian figure Ali Larijani was killed, further intensifying the conflict.
Explosions have been reported across northern Israel after the Israeli military detected incoming missile launches from Iran.
Everything. That's the crazy part.
According to Israeli media, blasts were heard in multiple areas as air defense systems were activated. The Israeli Home Front Command said sirens were sounded in Nahariya and several towns across the Western Galilee, warning residents to take cover amid the incoming threat. At the same time, central Israel also came under attack, with reports of suspected cluster bomb munitions impacting multiple locations following Iran's latest ballistic missile barrage. Emergency services, including Magen David Adom, responded to several impact sites. Initial assessments suggest that the explosions may have been caused by cluster submunitions or fragments from intercepted missiles. Footage emerging from the scene shows small craters at different locations, with one reported impact damaging part of a train station. Despite the scale of the attack, officials say no injuries have been reported so far. The latest barrage marks the sixth missile attack launched by Iran since midnight, with only a limited number of missiles fired, but triggering widespread sirens across central Israel. The escalation comes shortly after the Israeli Air Force carried out a new wave of strikes targeting Iranian infrastructure in Tehran. The Israeli military says the operation focused on key regime-linked sites in the capital. In a significant development, Israeli authorities have also confirmed that senior Iranian official Ali Larijani was killed in an overnight airstrike in Tehran, further intensifying the already volatile conflict between the two sides.
The United Arab Emirates is positioned just across from Iran on the Persian Gulf, and tonight it's one of the many countries hoping the U.S. can reopen the nearby Strait of Hormuz, that vital passageway for oil. Senior foreign correspondent Imtiaz Tyab is there.
A U.S.-owned oil tanker targeted in the Strait of Hormuz, one of several attacked by Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps. The devastation caused to the vessels, which can hold up to hundreds of millions of dollars worth of crude, was clear to see. Since the start of the U.S. and Israel's war with Iran just over 2 weeks ago, 500 tankers have been stuck in the strait, one of the world's most dangerous standoffs. As Iran intensifies its attacks on its Gulf neighbors, this strike on a fuel tank at Dubai's airport saw flights suspended at one of the world's busiest transport hubs. And this major hit on a large oil storage facility in the UAE's Fujairah saw it burn out of control.
They have
Qatar also
right
hasn't
around
been
the
spared,
corner and shit. You know what I'm saying?
showing Tehran's determination to target global energy.
Dr. Majid, good to see you again.
We met Majid Al Ansari, the advisor to the Qatari Prime Minister and Foreign Ministry spokesman in Doha.
Will Qatar attack Iran?
If it is war that the other party wants, if we have attacks coming into our country, we will defend ourselves.
But today, Iran is also paying a price. According to the White House, U.S. and Israeli strikes have hit more than 15,000 targets across the country.
Well, not far from where we are tonight, on the Strait of Hormuz, U.S. forces targeted Iran's Karg Island this weekend, where 90% of Iranian oil passes through. The message from the White House is clear. The U.S. can and will devastate Iran's energy lifeline if it has to. Tony.
Imtiaz, thank you very much.
Taking the Strait of Hormuz should be easy for the U.S., right? On the one hand, you have the world's most powerful Navy, 11 aircraft carrier strike groups backed by hundreds of ships, thousands of planes, tens of thousands of missiles and bombs. And on the other hand, you have this tiny waterway, only tens of kilometers across at its narrowest point, obstructed only by a regime that has been pummeled now by airstrikes for nearly 2 straight weeks with no sign of letting up, fighting for a passage the U.S. desperately wants to reopen because it may just be the most economically important maritime choke point on Earth, with 20% of the world's oil transiting through, and they can't take it? I mean, they sound like they can take it.
We have capabilities that no other nation on Earth has. The mullahs are desperate and scrambling. If Iran does anything to stop the flow of oil within the Strait of Hormuz, they will be hit by the United States of America 20 times harder.
But the flow of oil has largely stopped, and the U.S. hasn't been able to get it going again. And actually, a quick scan of headlines maybe even suggests the opposite is happening. Iran laying mines, international cargo ships in the vicinity being hit, dark smoke pouring into the sky. Why can't the U.S. just take over the Strait of Hormuz and get oil tanker traffic moving again? Well, because it's a lot harder than it sounds. Almost every problem with the U.S. defending the Strait of Hormuz stems from its size and geography. The fact that it's so narrow means there are just 2 designated shipping lanes deep enough to accommodate the world's biggest oil tankers. That's 1 lane in, 1 lane out, just 3 kilometers wide each and 3 kilometers apart. Now, if you're Iran and you've just threatened to set ablaze any tanker that tries to go through,
attention all ships from now on. All navigating through the Strait of Hormuz is forbidden.
Then you have a very predictable, very tightly confined kill box to work with.
They can hone in very easily on some of those ships trying to navigate those difficult waters. You can't pass a lot of ships through. You can't get ships through there at high velocity.
Oil tankers are big, slow, clunky targets through the strait itself. They travel at most at around 20, 30 kilometers an hour. Huge targets on well-known paths would make for a very appealing, very easy ambush.
They provide for like a target-rich environment for the Iranians trying to fire a fired drone.
Almost all attacks benefit for being very close to land from an Iranian point of view. So Iran can use a lot of weapon systems that are short range. So rockets, short range missiles.
Coastal artillery for literally direct fire that's close to inside of Iran and inside of areas where they've hidden artillery, the rounds that could hit from a local distance, but then also from a greater distance further away.
An attack or multiple attacks at once from so close would leave American warships very little time to defend. Typically, when we think about the kinds of munitions Iran has used to attack its Persian Gulf neighbors, we're talking about a transit time of several minutes or even hours for the slowest moving cruise missiles and drones. That's the kind of lead time you'd like to have to reliably shoot them down. But against an attack from so close, the defender in the Strait of Hormuz might have just seconds to react.
You have to detect, track, identify, track, and then intercept a missile, and it goes very, very fast.
And when you think about how many tankers there would be to defend, typical traffic is 3,000 a month. That's 100 a day. That's a challenge.
These are not military ships. These are transport ships. They do not have any defenses.
And that's to say nothing of the threat from Iranian airspace.
Iran is launching waves of drones and missiles while the United States and Israel are scrambling to shoot them down.
Just this morning, 3 ships in the Persian Gulf reported being struck by suspected Iranian drones.
What makes the Strait of Hormuz so risky to transit is that it is within striking distance of one of Iran's most efficient weapons of war. Shahed drones, depending on the model, have a theoretical max range of up to 2,500 kilometers. That's long enough to strike the strait from literally any part of the country, which is devastating when you consider the impact of a 100-pound warhead costing in the tens of thousands of dollars to manufacture, slamming into these hulking, lumbering targets worth potentially hundreds of millions. Just the oil they carry alone, a big chunk of that. This is a big problem. Then there's the threat from the water.
Iran could